There are over 1 billion cows alive on this planet right now, and we eat them without a second thought. Pigs, chickens, goats, sheep, even horses. Humans will eat almost anything that walks, swims, or crawls. We are the most flexible eaters on Earth. Now try to remember the last time you saw elephant on a menu. You can't. And here's the strange part. It's the biggest pile of meat walking around on land. One elephant is thousands of pounds of protein, enough to feed an entire village for weeks. So why did we skip it? By the end of this video, you'll understand the real reason. And it's far deeper than taste. Stay till the end. The last part will completely change how you think about every animal you've ever protected. Let's start with the math, because the math alone almost ends this argument by itself. Think about what it takes to feed an elephant. An adult eats up to 300 pounds of food every single day. Every single day. Grass, bark, leaves, whole branches shoveled in for 18 hours straight. And they drink up to 50 gallons of water on top of that. Now compare that to a cow. A cow hits slaughter weight in about a year on a fraction of that food. Cheap, fast, predictable. An elephant takes a female around 22 months just to be born. 22 months of pregnancy, the longest of any land animal on Earth. Then it grows for 10 to 15 years before it's anywhere near full size. 10 years of pouring food and water into one animal before you get a single meal out of it. No farmer in history could make that math work. You'd go broke or starve long before that animal ever paid you back. A cow feeds you in a year. An elephant asks for a decade first. That choice basically makes itself. But cost isn't even the biggest problem. There's something else about elephants, something that has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with the animal itself. They're smart, terrifyingly smart. Elephants recognize themselves in mirrors. Almost no animals can do that. They mourn their dead. They'll stand over the bones of a lost family member and touch them gently with their trunks, sometimes for hours. They return to the same spot years later. They comfort each other. They remember faces and places for decades. This is where it stops being about food and starts being about something we feel in our gut. It's one thing to eat an animal that grazes and forgets. It's another thing entirely to eat an animal that grieves. And humans picked up on that a long, long time ago. But let's say you got past all of that. Say you actually hunted one down. Now you've got a brand new problem, one that could get you killed. An angry elephant is one of the most dangerous animals on the planet. They are not slow, gentle giants when threatened. A charging elephant hits speeds around 25 miles an hour and weighs as much as a small truck. It can flip a vehicle, it can crush a person in seconds. Elephants still kill hundreds of people every single year. Now, picture doing that with a spear or a bow. For most of human history, that's exactly what you had. Going after an elephant meant risking your life and probably losing a few people from your group. That's a brutal trade. You might feed the village for a month, or you might lose your best hunters and get nothing. Compared to that, a deer looks a lot better. A wild pig looks a lot better. Easier to catch, safer to kill, and it won't fight back like a tank. Early humans weren't being noble. They were being smart. Why risk everything on a monster when the field is full of easier meals? Now here's where it gets really interesting, because the rule isn't totally absolute, and the exceptions actually prove the point instead of breaking it. Yes, humans have eaten elephant. Some communities in parts of Africa hunted them for meat. In tough times, when there was nothing else, elephant was food. And ancient humans absolutely hunted their relatives, the mammoths, sometimes to feed whole groups. But notice the pattern. It almost always happened out of need, not choice. Not as a staple, not as a habit, not something you'd farm and stock in your kitchen. It was the backup plan, the last resort, never the first thing you'd reach for. And that's not a counterexample. That's the rule confirming itself. And then somewhere along the way, culture caught up with all of this and made the rule official. Because elephants didn't just avoid our dinner plates, they climbed onto something higher. We turned them into symbols. Think about it. In parts of Asia, the elephant is sacred, tied to gods, to temples, to royalty. There's an entire beloved deity with an elephant's head. Kings rode them into battle. They became living symbols of power, wisdom, and memory. Even in the West, the elephant means something. It's the animal that never forgets. And here's the thing, you don't eat the animal you've turned into a god. You don't butcher the creature carved into your temple walls. You don't put a symbol of wisdom on a dinner plate. The same thing happened all over the world in cultures that never even spoke to each other. Different continents, different languages, different gods, and they all landed on the same quiet line. Some animals are food, and some animals are something more. So the real answer was never just one thing, it's all of it stacked on top of each other, pointing in the exact same direction. Elephants cost too much. A decade of food and water for one payoff. They're too smart. They grieve. They remember. They feel. And something in us refuses to eat that. They're too dangerous. Hunting one could cost you your life. And on top of all of that, we spent thousands of years turning them into gods, kings, and symbols instead of meals. Here's the powerful part. Every one of those reasons alone might not stop us, but all of them together, that's a wall. That's why the biggest pile of meat on land is the one we almost never touch. Humans didn't sit down and vote on this. Nobody made a rule. We just noticed it over and over in every corner of the world. Some animals you eat, and some animals you don't. And we built our plates around it without ever really saying it out loud. The elephant was never on the menu, and now you know exactly why.